Hello and welcome. This is Walkie Talkie number 10. And you may wonder, where am I? Wasn't I going to do these walkie talkies in nature? What am I doing in between these brick walls? You can hear the echo, maybe? Well, I will be walking in nature, and I will show you right away. Because this construction is actually it is an artwork by Danish painter and sculptor Per Kirkeby. I'm never sure how to pronounce that. It may be wrong. And this work of art, this brick construction, from outside it kind of looks a little bit like a medieval fortress in miniature, is situated in a sculpture park near Antwerp, not so far from where I live when I'm in Belgium. This park is one of the oldest sculpture parks around, and it has a magnificent collection of early modern sculpture and contemporary sculpture. I like that piece by Per Kirkeby. He's known, among other things, for these large constructions in brick, which he has made in many places all over the world. And so this park is really a nice place because it's kind of is a meeting place for nature and culture. And yeah, as you may know, nature and culture don't always get along very well nowadays. We have some problems there, which is what these talks are about, of course. Walkie Talkie number 10, a Jubileum edition. Actually I recorded a Walkie Talkie number 10 a couple of weeks ago already, but it became way too long. I was carried away in my enthusiasm and it became very, very long, and I decided it was in violation of my stated intention of brevity in my blog and also in these walkie talkies. But actually I will salvage a part or two, and actually for the next walkie talkie I will use a part of that previous one about worldview and paradigm. And but first I wanted to linger a little longer on what I was talking about in the previous walkie talkie. At the end of that one I promised to talk about the phenomenon of synchronicity or meaningful coincidence, if you may remember. But I think I will hold off on that just a little while longer and stay a little bit with the topic I was discussing last time. I shouldn't throw the next mind-boggling thing at you when we're not done yet with the first. So you may remember I was talking about William James, the great 19th century Harvard philosopher and psychologist, who, among other things, was a proponent of the filter theory, which is a remarkable theory on consciousness and what consciousness is and what it is not. And the filter theory, you may remember, is a viewpoint from which mind, consciousness, is not produced by the brain, is not a byproduct of material processes. So that idea may have struck some of you as outlandish or strange or impossible. And I indicated in last talk already that there is a lot of science being done nowadays that actually points in a similar direction, of consciousness not being a byproduct of the material processes. But so why is this relevant? You may wonder, why do we even need to talk about this? We were going to address the ecological meta-crisis. Why talk about theory of mind or consciousness? Well, that is a good question. And I kind of addressed it a little bit already in the previous walkie-talkie. because theories of mind and consciousness are closely related to what we can call worldviews or paradigms. And worldviews or paradigms are closely related to how we view the world. It's in the name already, worldview. So a paradigm kind of may define how we view the world. And how we view the world, in turn, may have a big influence on how we interact with the world, what's the relationship we have with the world. So the sequence may go like this. A worldview or paradigm may define our perception, and our perception may define our action and our relationship to the world and to ourselves, because worldviews also define in many ways how we view ourselves, what it is to be human, what the meaning of existence is. And so worldviews or paradigms, I actually also addressed the reason for dealing with paradigms in my last blog post, which was called I forgot what's called. Short and Sweet, Why Worldviews, it was called. And I was distracted by the sound of monkeys coming out of this building. I think it's part of an art installation. That's what you get with contemporary art, of course. Monkey sounds coming out of buildings. I'd rather hear real monkeys, actually. But those are quite rare in Antwerp. So in this previous blog post I talked about the reasons why I think it's really important to deal with worldview and paradigm in relationship to the ecological meta-crisis we find ourselves in. Someone who also talked a lot about that was none other than the great Donella Meadows, who you may know as the author of the great study of 1972, The Limits to Growth, which was groundbreaking and is still very much a reference for anyone dealing with planetary boundaries and ecology. And in The Limits to Growth, she and her husband, Dennis Meadows, ran a number of computer simulations which kind of determined that if we would continue with unlimited growth in a finite system, everything is headed for collapse, pretty much. Which seems only reasonable, you know, in a finite system you can't grow anything indefinitely. Anyway, I will put a link to The Limits to Growth in the description below this video. And Donella Meadows stated repeatedly that the most important point where we need to intervene in the system, it's not what you think. You may think, well, you know, we have to limit our industrial production, or we have to cut our CO2 emissions, whatnot. No, she said, the most important thing we need to do, the most important point where we need to intervene in the system is the worldview or paradigm. Because, she said, this may be quite hard to do, because people don't let go of worldviews very easily. But it can happen in a split second, because all it takes is to kind of drop the blinders and and it can happen in just one moment that we start seeing everything in a different light. and in that sense it doesn't even cost any money. It doesn't require huge investments. It's a matter of changing our paradigm, but that in turn might change everything we do on this planet, how we relate to the natural world and to ourselves. This is another piece, I think it's by British sculptor Richard Deacon, this Zeppelin shape. I always loved Richard Deacon. Yeah, there's really a lot of great art in this park. Going from early modern like Rodin and then Henry Moore to a lot of well-known contemporary artists. So, where was I? Worldviews and paradigms are essential in understanding why we are doing what we're doing on the planet and how we might be doing things differently. And in every civilization has had a worldview, a paradigm. That's kind of the core, the center core of any civilization. A certain theory of what the world is, why we are here, what we're doing here. And it gives a sort of meaning to our existence, both on the individual level and on the societal level. It gives direction to a civilization. But I will get back to that in the next Walkie Talkie, which will be the salvaged piece from the previous long one. And in every civilization and its paradigm, there is a core of theory of mind and theory of consciousness. I think that is even at the heart of every paradigm or worldview. If you go, for example, to the Judeo-Christian tradition, the Abrahamic religions, the theory of mind or consciousness was, you might say, the soul. The fact that we, in this worldview, have or are immortal souls which continue to live after death. And if we behave well, we go to heaven, and if we behave badly, to a not so good place. If you go to the ancient Hindu viewpoint, the theory of consciousness is that the self, with a capital S, is the Atman, which in the Hindu viewpoint was considered the same thing as a Brahman with a capital B, which was regarded as the universal consciousness. And universal consciousness in this ancient Vedantic viewpoint kind of plays hide and seek with itself in a never-ending cycle of birth and rebirth. Life as a drama, kind of. And then if you go to indigenous cultures, those are very often animistic. And the animist traditions have in common that they view everything as being conscious. Like consciousness and mind are not limited to the human mind, but are a property of everything existing. Animist cultures see everything as endowed with life and mind. So, just to name a few possible worldviews and their relationship to theories of mind and consciousness. So that is why I think it is, there is an interesting sculpture here. This looks like a huge medieval war weapon. Well, that was a worldview too. So that is why I think it is extremely interesting to look at what our theory of mind is, our theory of consciousness in our civilization, and see how it affects our viewpoint and what we are doing on the planet. So if we do need a change of worldview, then I think we will also need a new theory of mind and consciousness. A new vision of what consciousness really is, and what our mind is, and what it is to be human, and why we are here. Big questions. But so I will come back to those questions in the next Walkie Talkie. which was the second half of the too long one. And so theories of mind and consciousness are incredibly fascinating, because they run kind of under the radar, even from our own consciousness. We usually are not aware of what we believe about ourselves and about our minds and about the world at large. It's like everyday life doesn't leave much room for that, and we have tougher nuts to crack. We need to get bread on the table every day, pay the rent, raise the kids. So, but the irony is that all of those things and the way we do those things are all, to a large degree, defined by what we believe about the world, by our worldview and our paradigm and our theory of mind. We're just not aware of it because we're too busy in modern life. And maybe that's why it's so important to come to nature on a regular basis, and why I do these talks in nature, because it instantly creates a space where another set of ideas may come to us and begin to inform us. And not just our brain, but our entire being, because our entire being resonates with nature. And so I think I will call it a day. I've covered a lot of ground again. And all this is quite complex stuff. And I will come back to it many, many times from different angles. Because in the end, it's not that complicated. Once you grasp what we're talking about, it's about experience. And experience always is more than what words can describe also, of course. The limits of words. In any case, it's lovely here, it's cold, it's drizzling a little bit, but still it's very enjoyable to be here among the trees and among the artworks. So I will leave you with that. And don't remember, if you like the Walkie Talkies and my work and the blog, to hit the like and subscribe button below this video. It makes a difference, and it will help me to reach a wider audience, which I of course want to do. And I will see you in the next talk. Thank you, goodbye, namaste.